Hey, welcome to the Elle Russ Show. My name is Elle Russ, and I am a #1 best-selling author and master coach. My intention is to inspire, educate, and motivate you with weekly content featuring amazing guests and solo episodes. Visit my website, elleruss.com, to learn more about me, my courses, free masterclasses, partner discounts, and much more. Enjoy the show. Mark Haughton, welcome to the show. How are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you? Thanks for having me.
I'm doing great. Listen, you are just putting out all of the positive energies. You're all about manifestation and intention. But what you're sort of known for, if people look you up, is that let's talk about the lottery and your manifestations with that. But before we get into that, I just want to get a little backstory. Like how did you grow up? What was your level of money, thinking about money? How did you think about money prior to like understanding you might have a say in the way you direct your energy?
That's a great question, Ella. So, I grew up in the islands. I grew up in Jamaica. So as a kid, money wasn't really that big for me. I mean, my family, we were decent, but it wasn't like in the US. So it's just something we were used to. Now, when I got here in the US, that's when I started to see more about abundance or money. But the interesting thing was I always used to question life. Why are things the way they are? Why this happened? Why that happened? And that led me on my path to do what I do, which is to help individuals and just open our consciousness. But I started to realize from an early age that reality isn't really what it is. There were things that would happen to me as a kid. I would have dreams and see things happening and what we call weird, trippy stuff. So I always had a gift to kind of see beyond, but I kind of kept it to myself. But I kind of knew. But as I got older, that's when I started to figure out that, wait a minute, this stuff can be manipulated or malleable. Reality is malleable. And it led me, of course, to winning the lottery. I mean, at a point, I was a chef there working at a hotel in Miami. And I saw this car. It was a Dakar yellow E46 BMW M3. At that car, it was only one of 10 they made in the world. And I was like, oh man, I have to have this car. And at that time, the salary I was making wasn't enough to buy the car. I wanted to buy the car cash. I didn't want to do payments. And so I said, you know what? Since this universe thing works through quantum physics and reality says that I can change things with my mind, let me go ahead and put it to the test. So I started just doing some things that worked for me. I started to visualize it, and I started to study up on the mind and the subconscious. And make a long story short, I manifested that car and I bought it cash. And then that's when it started. The journey started with the lottery, and I kept winning again and again, pretty much using the same principles, mind over matter, I like to call it.
Now, for everyone out there, listen, if this is the first time you're hearing anything about this, there's a lot, like, science widely would not subscribe to the idea that quantum mind or quantum consciousness theory, which basically suggests that the human mind is a fundamental aspect of the physical universe. And there's a lot of quantum principles that people try to attribute to it. This is what I say about it. You can go through it's like, try this for yourself. There's no harm in practicing intention and manifestation. So, no one ever built a statue to a freaking skeptic. And so if it's not your thing, it's not your thing if you're out there. However, it has really been an amazing force in my life. And I think, if anything, just the force of being aware of one's thoughts, being able to direct and change them for the purposes of happiness. And then you can sort of, in your mood, then you can move towards really trying to intend. What was, after you did win the lottery, I mean, at that point where you're like, all right, I'm going to keep going, because I know now, exactly I believe in this. Like,
So after I won, okay, so the first win, the first big win was when I bought the car. And what was interesting about that win, and that really solidified my belief in the universe and in physics and in the mind, was, You know, the way I visualized it, it happened exactly the same way. The way it played out in my mind was the way it played out in physical reality to the T. Uh, that
Can
was
you want to
shocking.
give us that breakdown? Can you give us that like
Yes,
visual
yes,
breakdown?
yes, 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 yes. So I wanted this car, right? So the car was about 45 minutes from me. It was a little further down in Miami, Doral. I was up a little up north. And I realized that, okay, the mind works this way. It says that I have to convince my mind that I already have the car. That's how my subconscious mind work. So I said, Mark, you got to go down there and go physically look at the car, because that's how you got to impress your subconscious mind. My conscious mind, on the other hand, says, what are you doing? You're stupid. You don't have the money. So, okay. So I had to overcome that. I forced myself. I drove all the way down there. I went and looked at the car. I acted as if I was going to buy the car then. And I acted like I had the money. The guy was cool. He was like, yeah, come on in, sit in the car. Da, da, da. I sat in the car, took pictures of the car. I put my hand on the steering wheel. I said, this is my car. And he's like, so yo, man, so you gonna buy the car? What do you want to do? I said, yeah, I'm gonna let me come back. Um, and he said, oh, so what do you want to do? You want to do payments or cash? I'm said, I'm gonna buy cash. I'm just gonna win the lottery and buy this car. And he started laughing. He's like, bro, are you serious? He's like, and he laughed too. And he's like, you know, my dad plays the lottery. You know, his father, they own this they owned a luxury car dealership with classic cars. So that was considered a classic car there. So he's like, yeah, my dad plays the lottery too, but he's fun. But you know what? If you win the lottery, man, and you get this car, I'm gonna call my dad and I gotta let him know that. And I was like, okay. So that's what I was visualized. I visualized. I checked the ticket. The ticket said top prize, claim a lottery. I visualized picking up the phone, calling the guy. I think his name is Danny. I said, hey man, I'm coming to get the car. And he says, okay, what do you want to do? Payments? No, I said, I told you before that I would win the lottery. I won the lottery. I got the cash. How do you want it? He's like, okay, bring it to me, cash. And that's exactly how it went. So the day I won, I went and checked the ticket. The machine says top prize, claim at lottery. It was in public supermarket. I immediately picked up the phone. I called him on the phone, Danny. He said, hey, what's up? I said, I'm coming to get the car. He said the same thing he said in my visual. He says, why do you want to do it? You want to make payments? You got a loan or what? I said, cash. He said, you want to do cash? I said, yeah, I won the lottery. He started laughing. He's like, I'm going to let my dad know. The only difference in that manifestation was I couldn't get cash. I had to get a cashier's check because at the time at the banks don't keep all that money there. You have to order money. It's like, okay, so they said I took a cashier's check, but it was as good, and it happened exact the same way.
Okay, you know what I love about something that you sort of casually expressed there, which is like right when it happened, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, now about the car, picked it up, like done, already
Mm-hmm.
believed it. It's not like your first thing was like, I went and danced, did this, and then a couple of days later, I got the car, whatever. You were like, just like immediately like, oh, here we go. All right, the money's going to be ready. I'll let him know to reserve it. You know.
Exactly. I had seen this so many times in my mind that I was convinced that I've already won. So when it happened, of course I felt good, but it was just like, oh, about it. First thing that came to my mind was, oh, it's about time. That was it, because I expected it.
What about though, like the second time then, right? You know, because
Right.
first time, like, amazing, right? And then the second time, you got to
Yeah.
be like, what the fuck is going
Yeah.
on?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
got to be almost a little, not creepy because it's awesome, but it's just, woo, that must have been.
Yeah. Yeah. That is not a second time. I would just say first time beginner's luck, second time, maybe third time, fourth time. Okay, you're onto something, right? So next time, um, it was on a quick pick. Lotto, it was $22,000. Um, then a couple months later, it was another $15,000 quick pick. And then I started thinking to myself, I said, man, how about me? How about just manipulate these numbers? What if I just start bringing these numbers in? Because according to quantum theory, it says that everything is a wave, and then a wave becomes a probability, a possibility, and actuality based on my observation and how I interact with my mind. So I said, okay, let's see what happens here. Now I'll have to interject this into it now for your audiences watching, listening. Now, as far as science is concerned, guys, the fundamental law of consciousness and how the mind operates, I can tell you this: no physicist or scientist can tell you how consciousness operates, why it is, how it works. We're still trying to find theories on that. So just keep that in your mind, that even this is beyond science. Okay. So
And before
anyway,
you go on, I just want to quickly tell everyone what he's really talking about too is the observer effect, which in quantum
right,
physics, which
right.
suggests that the active observation is what collapses that wave function. So just if anyone wants to
Exactly.
go look that up later, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Basically, your attention creates reality. Your reality is created by what you think and what you're experiencing. So, all right. So in Florida, we have these games. They're called Play 4, Play 5. So you can pick four numbers. If the number comes out in a particular order, it's $5,000, right? So I started to visualize this number, did a meditation, and I seen this number popped up. First big one was number was 8989, and I just started seeing that number. And what I did when I got the number, I just said, all right. So the universe is intelligent. It's me. So the universe. One thing I learned about this too, you will always receive signs. Anything that's going to come into physical existence will always give you a precursor of a sign. So I was looking for the sign. So I said, okay, I like this number 8989. So give me a sign. Let me know if this number is going to come out. And I started seeing 89 on receipts, 8999. Okay, so I said, okay, so I got to stick with this number. Make a long story short, I played that number. It was like for 2 months. That number came out. That was my first big six-figure win. That was about $120,000. And then just kept going and it kept growing. And I just kept doing it again with other numbers, and it just kept going. And that's when I was convinced. I was like, okay, this is how reality works. And it just got me into a deeper aspect of how we're being, there's a taboo on teaching this to people. And I see why, because this is very powerful. If everyone knew this and they could tap into their mind, there wouldn't be a society as it is today. And so I said, okay, Mark, you have to just be under the radar. You can't just, because not a lot of people are going to be open to this. But let me just go out and put the information out. Who's receptive will receive it. If it's in their vibration, they'll get it. And that's what I'm doing.
That's right. You wrote a book called How to Win the Lottery Using Quantum Physics and also Manifest It with Quantum Physics.
Yeah.
Everyone go check that out. Tell us about, sometimes in my experience with manifesting, I kind of maybe started just learning and dabbling around 2006. And then, how the more you know and go, all these nuances and things, and it becomes something. It gets different. You learn so much more as you go along. Right. Some of my favorite manifestations were very unique experiences that there's no way I could have orchestrated it, even if I had tried, right? Like that idea that sometimes it's even better than how you could have even imagined it. Since you did have a couple experiences exactly how you imagine it, what were some things, sometimes it's fun because they're like little throwaway thoughts where you'd be talking to a friend, you'd be like, oh yeah, I'd love to do that. And then you don't even think about it or try to intend it. And then it shows up and you're like, oh my God, I was just talking about it. So I'd love to hear about some of those kind of fun experiences, that maybe weren't involved money. I mean, they might have cost money, but that were just that's still kind of like, oof, those are good ones. And sometimes, they're even like the tiny ones that are really cool.
Okay. Yeah. So one of them would be the YouTube platform there. So never in a million years, I thought I would be on YouTube, teaching and putting material out. I've always watched YouTube and I was like, okay, that'd be cool. So when I first started, there was a lottery group on Facebook, and it was just lottery. So I was just on there, just sharing my methods with them, and they were like, "Wow, this is fantastic!" And I met a guy there. His name was Edward, and he's still working. He's still my technical guy here today. He's like, "Hey, man, you should do YouTube." I was like, "Oh, okay, I'll check it out." I said, "Okay." So one day, I just started doing YouTube. I didn't expect anything like it would blow up, or I just thought, "Oh, just another platform." And as I'm doing the YouTube, I just thought about it as something fun to do. And then I met a young lady on there. She was on YouTube, and she had a channel called Nevolution or Nevolution, Neville Goddard at the Nevolution channel. And she's like, "Hey, Mark, I like your videos. I'm going to share it with my members." I said, "Go ahead." And when she shared her channel, that's when it started blowing up. And subscribers started going up. And I was like, wow, this is interesting. And all I was doing was just sitting in my car, the car I manifested, just still what I do today, and just talking. There, no editing, just whatever's coming, the universe is telling me how to. That's all I was doing, and it just started going and it started blowing up. And that's what it's interesting. You said that things happen that's beyond our imagination. We couldn't imagine it. And that's when I discovered that, wait a minute, man, um, this is not the real me. This is a representative of me. There's a higher version of me that can see beyond what I can see. And that's when I realized that's what I was tapping into with winning the lottery. You have a higher self. It's like projecting from another dimension into this dimension. It talks to us through our feelings, our intuition, our dreams, and our subconscious. And that's when it just took off to a whole nother level.
How do you navigate still being human and having things come up that are contrasting in life? And what I mean is, I guess what I'm asking is, what's your thought process now versus maybe what you were before you learned these in terms of your awareness of your thoughts and how you go about life?
Well, that's a great question. This was what I learned was very profound. Before, I actually thought that my name is Mark Haughton. I am this body and I'm the mind. But what I've discovered is I am none of that. And also I can technically prove that in the study of neuroscience and also quantum theory. So there goes again. So what I discovered now is that my body is an automated system. The mind is an automated system. Who I truly am is the awareness of the body and the mind. So you asked me about the contrasting things. So what I've learned to do now, I've learned to disassociate myself from the mind, the ego. And you can do that as well, because here's something, I don't know if individuals know this. When they mapped the entire human brain, neuroscience cannot find any particular region in your brain that houses yourself, the I am, the identity. It doesn't exist anywhere in the brain. Yes, there are parts of the brain that have senses of feel, touch, but that part that says, who am I? This is me. You know, the ego, the I, the voice that says we, the I, that does not exist. There's no evidence. They cannot find any neural connection in the brain.
Right. They can't find they can't find the I think therefore I am. Like
exactly. No, it doesn't exist. It's not there. It doesn't exist. So what they discovered is that is just a function of evolution, of repetition through the conscious mind. It's a learned condition. So I was going around with the identity of this person here. But when I realized that's not who I am. Who I am is the experience of this person. And by being aware of that, I was able to tap into even more understanding, more higher consciousness, more things to manifest, because now I am not attached.
You're elevating the experience instead of,
Exactly. Attachment is the biggest block to your manifestation.
Let's get on that a little bit too, because I've been attached to certain things I wanted to manifest, but in the intention of the pursuit of perhaps that thing or that situation, it ended up leading me to something that really was the thing, but I didn't see that till later,
right?
You know, which is why you gotta still take the steps forward. What is your, do you have a daily practice? Do you have something sort of a routine at all? I know some people do, some people don't.
Right.
What's your life like with regards to that?
Well, yeah. Right. So yeah, I do have a daily routine now. So basically my routine is that when I get up in the morning, my first thought is of something that makes me feel good. Number one. Number two, with social, I have to be on social media because that's where a lot of my platform is. With social media, I'm very careful about what I expose myself to. Various algorithms and all this stuff to you.
Yes.
So I'm all focused on more positive, uplifting content. And then throughout the day, what I tend to do is I tend to just keep my mind in what I call the flow state. I constantly talk to myself out loud. People may say, "What? This guy's crazy. How's that work?" Well, here's something interesting. When you talk to yourself out loud in question form, you actually create new neural pathways in your brain that your subconscious interprets as your actual reality. Let me give an example of what I mean. Most individuals have the affirmations as I am successful, I am wealthy, Well, I'm here to tell you that you can go ahead and use that. It will work, but it'll take you 2 to 3 years before you see results. That's because eventually it seep into the subconscious. But if you get up every morning and you say out loud, why am I so successful? Why am I so healthy? Why am I so happy? Why do I make money so quickly, easy, and effortlessly? Why am I so lucky in winning the lottery? Out loud. What happens now is your subconscious is a question answer generator. See, the difference between the subconscious and the conscious mind is this. When you ask a question, both minds will hear the question because you're consciously saying it. But the difference is because the subconscious is illogical. And if you say the question over and over again, it becomes a belief because you're repeating it. Now, the subconscious has to prove to you the question you ask as a physical experience. I'll give you a quick example. Say I only got $10 in my bank account, and I keep saying every morning, why do I have $10,000 in my bank account? Why do I have so much money? What? And I say that every day out loud. One day, that $10,000 must be in my bank account because the subconscious has to prove that as an experience. It must become my reality. That's the only way it works. It's a question answer generator. Your conscious mind works the other way.
Go ahead.
Yes, go ahead.
No, continue. Sorry.
No, I was just saying your conscious mind works the other way. When you ask a question, and if you use your conscious mind, it will only try to find solutions, which is severely limited. It'll try to tell you, well, go get another job. Maybe you can do this. I don't see if you can do. Go get a loan, all that. You don't entertain any of that. You just ask it in a fun, fulfilling way with imagination, let it go and watch it pop into your life.
When you were talking about the 10,000, it made me think of the concept of when people are starting out with this, or in general, I would say, believability is key, right? It's like if you believe it, you'll see it, but you have to believe it. So I often tell people, and I know this has been taught by other people too, like, do what maybe is believable for you at first, And so for me, like when I was doing a money thing for my very first thing, back in 2007 or so, I don't know when it was.
Right.
I thought with the things that were going on in my life, I thought, well, if this, that, and the other were to happen, maybe I can see maybe this happened, then maybe 200,000. Okay. So I just wrote a check for, it was $207,000, blah, blah. And it was like the Jack Canfield story where I ended up getting 199, whatever, it was a little bit off, but, but then actually something later sort of made up for it. And then it was kind of one of those funny things where I was like, oh, I got close, and then later I was like, oh, actually I kind of hit it. And so after that, I was like, okay, wow. But I think I believed it more, the practice, that first initial practice of it. So sometimes people need to start small. What do you have to say and suggest about the believability of it? Right.
Right.
It's almost like when someone, it's like, don't look in the mirror if you're obese and want to, become healthy and lose weight and say, I'm thin, and it's going to not be great for your brain maybe, but you could say I'm in the process of having a healthy, happy body, or, and then maybe as you're going down the weight loss train, then you can have new affirmations. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on all of that.
Yeah. So the great news is this, guys. When it comes to belief, it's easy to build. So let me show you how to do. So you can literally dream big and believe anything. Here's the first step. You don't have to believe that you can get it. Here's the first thing. Just have to believe it's possible. That's it. First step. You don't have to believe you can get $10,000. Just believe it's possible. Okay, so once you believe it's possible. So Mark, how do I believe it's possible? Well, use examples. You can go on the internet. You can find people who manifested $10,000. There's your proof. This guy manifested. Also, it's possible. Once you say it's possible, okay, then you build the belief. So how do you build the belief? You used images. If you can see it in your mind over and over again, that's going to create a belief. All a belief is a thought you constantly think about over and over. It becomes a belief, and you can write it down as well. So that's how you do it. So you just start with seeing it as an imagination, and the more you see it, it's going to get impressed in your subconscious, and then you're going to start to feel like, man, this could really happen. And there's your first sign that your belief is being built. So once that belief is built, now you stay on it, and then it becomes an actual physical reality.
Well, and that's that, it's sort of akin to the unfortunately overused 4-minute mile, right? No one thought it was possible. Then the moment someone did it, people were like, oh shit, hold on, it's possible. And then now,
exactly.
What are they doing now? I don't know what the time is now. Have they gotten it down to
exactly. 2 minutes? Yeah. And you can find that anywhere in the world. That's the thing about, I tell individuals all the time, I say, look, man, because we have an ego, right? The thing is, okay, to manifest, you got to have both minds have to work together. So it's not just the subconscious. The conscious got to give the subconscious the impression, right? So how do I fix the conscious? Just show it proof. That's all your conscious mind wants. And everything that has been done has already been done. If you want to win $1 million and use the law of attraction, go look. You can look at my videos, Cynthia Stafford, Timothy Schultz. Oh, look, Shane Mueller. Oh, this guy manifested $450 million using his mind. Oh, that's all you might want to know. Oh, this is possible. You're in the door. You can find it for everything.
What are some other things that we should be considering in terms? Well, I actually maybe highlighting on being able to see it. Gratitude or seeing it already around you, how quickly we take for granted the things that are the things that other people are like preying on and like trying to manifest, and you already have, and you think it's just, but it's first world problems. So I like that awareness, right? Of just the gratitude and seeing abundance already in, one's world.
Yeah. That's very important. Now, the thing with gratitude now, here's something trippy that, when it comes to gratitude. So we've all been taught that, okay, you have to be grateful for everything you have. Okay, here's what I say. You have to be appreciative or aware of everything you have. That's kind of gratitude, right? Like, okay, I'm aware, I'm appreciative of this. Appreciative and gratitude is two different things. So I appreciate where I'm at right now, but here's the real secret. Here's how I use gratitude. I use gratitude. I'm grateful for already having what I want. So I act as if I already have what I saw. So if I want 50,000 or 500,000, I act as I have the 500,000. I'm like, thank you for this 500,000. It feels so good to have 500,000. That's how I use gratitude. I use it as if I already have it. And the reason I do that, and this is trippy, is because of quantum physics. Now,
it's the feelingization. It's like the feeling. You can't just logically think, write down a word like I'm wealthy, right? You're feeling it. Yeah.
Right. But here's something more spectacular than that. Check this out. You and I and everyone, we're already living a rerun. Okay, what I mean by that, your life and my life, it's already happened. Our death and our birth is all in the same place. This is a rerun. So I've already done that. The minute I have the intention of 500,000, it already happened in what we call the future, but it's in the present moment. It's in a different coordinate in space time. So when I'm giving gratitude for that, all I'm doing is I'm just aligning to my what called future self. It's already there. So all of you, if right now I'm talking to you and you just decide that tomorrow you want to win the lottery, guess what? You've already won it. It was already part of it. You just got the download to show you something you already created. Now this gets tricky for people to understand because our minds are used to like a beginning, a middle, and an end, right? Our mind can't conceptualize that every single thing is happening in the present moment. In this point, there's my birth. In this point, here's my middle age. At that point, there's my death. And if the higher self, I can look from down at my timeline and I can see my entire timeline. And it happens for everybody. That's the most trippy thing about it. So I always put things as if they're happening now because they are.
Well, and that is one of the keys, right? It's already happened. And then just like the phone call you made to get the car, and I've had this happen to me too, then it happens. Someone expressed this once who manifested a large sum of money where they expressed, and I was like, I totally get that. They said when it happened, they felt a little bad that they weren't as excited as they were when they were doing the feeling of the moment of the intention. And it's because it had already happened, or the feeling of it, right? It was the most intense feeling was the feeling of the moment that they were intending it. And they had that thought in their head, like, oh, isn't that interesting? It's sort of like, oh yeah, okay, here it is. It was,
From the minute you conceptualize it or you have an intention of that stuff, you already did it. People don't understand this. Whenever you get a desire, like you just get something, you want to be a doctor, a lawyer, a musician, whatever you want to be, you want to win the lottery, right? You think that that's random. That's not random. That was predestined. That was already predetermined from your higher self. that is a download you're getting in a 3D reality. So you're just moving your vibration to match what you have. It's hard. I mean, it's hard for individuals to get to grasp if they don't know a little bit about like the universe or science. But you can understand it and you can feel where I'm coming from on that.
Right. And on that unknown co-creative situation, because the naysayers and or not even naysayers, but just people being like, okay, well, but then hold on. Like,
Right.
why haven't you manifested everything you've intended? Why haven't you
Right.
won the lottery every single time? Why not more? Why not? If you've already done it 4 times with $100,000, why not
Right.
10 million? Or right. Like, so anyway, for all of those types of objections to this,
Mhm.
this ether, what do you have to say to that?
Okay, well, it's very simple. You have to remember this, that your body here is an avatar. So you are not making the decisions. You have a higher version of you that's downloaded information to you to make decisions. So if someone says, okay, man, why don't you win it 100 times? Well, if you don't feel like you want to win 100 times, you're not going to feel like you want to win 100 times. If you want to win 100 times, you can win it 100 times. So it's not, we tend to think that we have control over everything. No, we don't. Check this out. 97% of your life is run on an operating system as a habit. It's a subconscious program. It means there's some other part of your consciousness making decisions for you. That's it. So there's a higher intelligence directing your life and says, all right, Mark, this is it. You win. You already won 44. I won over 40 times already. This is Mark. That's it. And it may come back to me and say, all right, man, win some more. That's it.
You've inspired a lot of people to go down this road and direct them towards, basically right thinking about the things that we want. So I would love to hear some of the success stories, some of the people that, started off, because I'm sure you get so many of those and it must just bring you so much joy.
Yes, there's so many. I don't even know where to start. Let's see. What do you want to know? Lottery, house, what? Somebody manifest?
Anything, just anything that really stands, like one of your favorites. It could be something small, but a manifestation like of people you've inspired.
Okay. All right. So, okay, I have this one student. She's in London, and we connected. I can tell you a couple. So when we connected, she had her sister's daughter, which is her niece, right? So her sister wasn't quite mentally capable, and she wanted to adopt the daughter to be her own from the sister. And in England, it was very difficult to do that. She would get probably temporary custody, and she also wanted to buy a new flat. They call houses flat in England. So I basically told her, I said, "Look, this is what you got to do." And I showed her how to visualize it and how to do it. And within 7 months, she adopted the daughter. Now she has 2 flats, and she was making more money than she ever did in her part. I think she's making like $600 a day now in her job. So that was an awesome one. There's another one now. There's an individual. I think she's in Wisconsin, and she was playing the lottery, and she wanted to get this house. The house was $3 million. She visualized and she won the lottery and she got the house. But this is the most inspiring one for me right here. I'm going to let you know this one. So I had a student. First name is Jay. So during the time when they had this hurricane, it was it Katrina in New Orleans when it really messed up New Orleans?
Yep.
So she lost her home and everything, right? And she was living in a homeless shelter, but she was going to work. And during our time, she would always tell me, Mark, I'd walk downtown and there was this nice big condo. I wanted to live in the penthouse on top of it. And at that time I was telling individuals, say, look, you have to act as if it's already yours. You have to convince your subconscious mind that it is. So she said, Mark, I watched that and here's what I started doing. She said, first thing I did was I changed my mailing address and sent it to that condo apartment. Because I'm living in a homeless shelter. So she said, I had my mail went to there. And she said, I'll deliberately ask when my coworkers dropped me off, they would drop me off at the condo. They thought I lived there. I would get out the car and I would wait for them to drive off. And then I would walk to the homeless shelter. And I did this for months. And I didn't live there. I didn't have the money. I'm going to the homeless shelter. My mail was going there. And I think after 6 months, with the grants or something. She had a grant. She was qualified for a grant for like $200,000 over. And guess what? She bought the penthouse and she's living there now.
Oh,
She
that's lovely.
convinced her mind that it was real.
That's amazing. Tell us, we'll put everything in the show notes to connect with you, but tell us how we can benefit from more of your work. You have tons of reels on Instagram and videos
Yes.
on YouTube. How else can people work with you? What do you have for our audience in terms of getting to, start from scratch or jumping in the middle, wherever they
Yeah,
need to
you can
be with
just,
your advice?
man, just go into those videos. They're on YouTube. A lot of jam-packed free content there. Books, you can find my books on Amazon. It was Amazon's bestseller in August. What is it? August, September, and then became bestseller again in November, December. Manifested using quantum physics, winning the lottery. You can find my website on my YouTube links, Facebook. Just look Mark Haughton. I do have personal coaching. I can help individuals, so you can take advantage of that. So I would suggest just the YouTube. You can get packs of tons of information. They just search Mark Haughton on YouTube and jump in.
I love
All
it.
the secrets are there.
That's great. Well, honestly, thank you so much. And thanks so much for being an inspiring light that anything's achievable, and so encouraging for people to just keep going and pursue and daydream on those goals and focus on them. Thank you so much. And for everyone else, we'll see you next week.
Thank you, Ellie. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Hey listeners, over the years, a ton of companies have approached me to collaborate, but I will only promote companies whose products I believe in and that I actually use and consume on a regular basis. So let me tell you about some of my favorite companies that I can offer you discounts for. Rep Provisions, an amazing company doing incredible things for our planet, topsoil, and animals with regenerative agriculture, and it's my #1 source for quality pasture-raised meat and chicken. Visit repprovisions.com and use code L15 for 15% off. I'm also obsessed with a company called Carnivore Crisps. They make a lean, all-natural, and delicious alternative to conventional snacking, made with just real meat and real salt. Totally addictive, and my favorite ones are the beef brisket and the ribeye. Visit carnivorecrisps.com and use code PALEO10 for 10% off. I also love and regularly use Paleo Valley products. They make amazing supplements and delicious paleo products. I use the superfood greens powder, grass-fed beef sticks, the organ complex, and their bone broth bars. I love the lemon and apple. I also use their essential C complex and more. Visit paleovalley.com/promos/Elle Russ for 15% off. I also love Primal Kitchen. They make delicious paleo-approved, gluten-free, grain-free, soy-free, and no refined sugar products, and I use them daily, from their collagen powders and sauces and marinades to their avocado and olive oil. So good, so healthy. Visit primalkitchen.com and use code L10 for 10% off. I also love paleo powder and use it almost on everything I cook. They make incredible seasoning blends, and they also have these incredible grain-free coatings that feel just like crispy breadings that you would have had prior to knowing that there's another way. So visit paleopowder.com and use code L15 for 15% off.